115.
Definitely, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, we can start the program now, sir. Please, sir. Please.
Thank you, Satyagopal. Once again, good morning to all of you. A hearty welcome to all for today's webinar on prospects of Agribusiness Management A Way Ahead, organized by Institute of Agribusiness Management of SVG College, TIRUPATI. On this occasion, it's a great pleasure and privilege for me to extend a warm welcome to our most respected and honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. A. Vishnuvardan Reddy Garu, who is the moving spirit in organizing a series of webinars from our college. I once again welcome you, sir, on my own behalf, on behalf of my faculty and students. I am very delighted to extend a warm welcome to our beloved Dean of Agriculture, Dr. A. Pratap Kumar Reddy Garu, who gave us continuous support and encouragement in organizing the webinars. I take this opportunity to welcome respected Dean of PG Studies, Dr. D. Balagurave Garu, sir, for today's webinar. I welcome all head of departments, professors, associate professors, assistant professors, and most important, our students of our college. I take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. P.V. Satyagopal, Professor and Head, Institute of Agribusiness Management, SVG College, for his tireless hard work in making this webinar happen. It is a matter of immense pleasure for me to extend warm welcome to all the participants. I am told that there are about 1,315 participants are there who have joined today. I welcome all of you once again. I'm very glad that there is an overwhelming response for this webinar. Further, I'm very glad to share information that postgraduate program in Agribusiness Management was initiated in the year 2008 in this college. The master degree awarded is Master of Business Administration in Agribusiness Management. The focus of MBA program is to build core business management expertise among agriculture and allied graduates, and to develop managerial skills and entrepreneurial skills. This program, MBA, Master of Business Administration and Agribusiness Management, offered in this institute, in this college, involves rigorous coursework, exposure to agribusiness industries, trainings at national and global level, and opportunities are given to students to participate in management events. I am told that till date, 93 students have completed the master's program in MBA in this college. And also I'm very glad to submit to you that all of them have been well placed in different corporate world. I'm told that they've been placed in DuPont, Syngenta, JK Seeds, Dhanuka, Nagarjuna, Coromandel, Pesticides of India, Rallis, ITC, and other companies, as well as they are placed in banks, and few of them will become entrepreneurs. I'm very happy to learn all this, that our students have fared so well. I'm confident that this webinar forms a platform for thorough understanding on prospects of agribusiness management. I wish that this webinar will be highly beneficial to students and provides new areas for researchers. I once again extend warm welcome to all of you on this occasion. Now I request our respected Dean of Agriculture, Dr. A. Pratap Kumar Reddy Garu, to give his inaugural speech on this occasion. I request A. Pratap Reddy Garu to kindly join.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Thank you very much. Very good morning to the eminent speakers. Mr. Samir Tandonji, Regional Director, India, UPL Limited. Mr. Rahul Pandeji, Head of Strategic Marketing, UPL Limited. And my colleague here, the Dean PG Studies, Dr. Balagurave Garu, Associate Dean Ravindranath Reddy Garu, and the organizer Satyagopal and his team, and other faculty members, students who are all connected here. Once again, welcome and a very good morning. agriculture sector in India has been witnessing very exciting and dramatic changes during recent times. Companies involved in food and agribusiness are growing at rapid pace and drawing up challenging plans for growth in the years ahead. In view of this, our university launched well thought out 2-year postgraduate program in agribusiness management that could groom potential youngsters into good managers who could readily fit into the corporate companies and deliver the results expected from them. The shift from agriculture to agribusiness has paved for lucrative opportunities in the agribusiness sector. All the stakeholders working in various spaces in agribusiness, namely agri-input marketing, agri-finance, and agri-procurement and marketing, are continuously thriving to harness the new opportunities by overcoming the challenges. Today's modern strategic firms have proved that continuous scanning and sensing the changes in the business environment through collecting information, formulating, implementing, and evaluating the business strategies would create a competitive advantage. Institute of Agribusiness Management, located in SVIG College, Tirupati, is organizing industry interaction meets to connect various experts like rural marketeers, agribusiness consultants, strategists, advertisers, startups, academia, research scholars, and future leaders to understand trends in various spaces of agribusiness value chain. Mutual exchange of experiences and learnings of all the stakeholders working in various spaces in the same agribusiness environment would act as a catalyst for the growth of overall agribusiness industry. Definitely, the institute will bring laurels through its significant contributions in the field of agriculture. I wish the organizers good luck and I congratulate the Associate Dean, Dr. Ravindranath Reddy Garu, and Professor Satyagopal and his team for the initiative. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Dean, sir, Dr. A. Prathakumar Garu, for all your wishes. Thank you very much for your kind words on this occasion. Now, I request our respected Dean of PG Studies, Acharya Engineering Agriculture University, Dr. D. Balaguruvai Garu, kindly give his message on this occasion.
Thank you, Dr. Ravindranath Reddy. And very good morning to all of you. And Honorable Vice Chancellor of our university, Dr. Vishwardhan Reddy Garu. And today's eminent speakers, Samir Tandonji, Regional Director, India, UPL Limited, and Rahul Pandeji, Head Strategic Marketing, UPL Limited, Associate Dean of SV Agriculture College, Tirupati, Ravindranath Reddy Garu, and Organizing Secretary, Dr. P.V. Satyagopal, Professor and Head of the Agribusiness Management Department, and the faculty and the students. A very good morning to all of you, and once again welcome you all to this webinar. And as you all know that developing countries like ours, the agribusiness management is emerging as a field of prime importance. And organizations like public, private sectors and cooperative sectors, they are looking for hiring agribusiness graduates, agribusiness management graduates, and they are looking for the very competent and trained professionals in agribusiness management. And this Institute of Agribusiness Management, situated at SV Agriculture College, Tirupati, initially it was started as a Department of Agribusiness Management in the year 2008. Now it has been elevated to the status of Institute of Agribusiness Management, and the graduates who have taken graduated from this institute, they are occupied very good places in different sectors, and also in this competitive backdrop, the skill development and developing of students with the ability of managerial skills are very much important. And our institute is thriving, doing well in imparting those such skills by inviting expert members from outside, and also conducting webinars like this. And this webinar particularly gives a very good opportunity to our students, agribusiness students in particular, to develop their skills, and also it gives some kind of confidence in them to develop into agri entrepreneurs. And so I congratulate once again the Associate Dean of SU Agriculture College, Tirupati, and also the Department of Agribusiness Management and Sachagopal and his faculty and team, and also the participating students across the country. Nearly it is touching 400 students they have registered. And I congratulate once again for organizing this kind of webinars, and in future also this kind of webinars and expert involving and inviting expert members from outside will be very helpful. And I request Dr. Sanjay to continue this kind of conducting, organizing these webinars and also seminars and symposia. Thank you once again, and thank you all and for the successful conducting of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, Dean PG Studies, Dr. D. Balagoraya Garu. Thank you, sir, for kind words, for congratulating us. And in fact, as you said, some 300, 400 have joined. In fact, as many as 13 and 15 have registered through YouTube. They have joined, and there are some from abroad also. I found that from USA there are 2 participants are there. From Dubai there's 1 participant, and for Morocco there's 1 participant. And we see how much enthusiasm is there to participate, to learn about it. We are very happy. We are very glad. Thank you, sir, once again for your kind words that we have received from you and your blessings to us. And now I request Dr. T.V. Sachagopal, Professor and Head, Institute of Agribusiness Management, to kindly introduce the speakers of today. Sachagopal to kindly to speak.
Good morning, sir. Respected Dean of Agriculture, sir. Our respected Dean of PG Studies, sir, and our beloved Associate Dean, sir, and the today's eminent speakers, Rahul Pandey, sir, Samir Tandon, sir, and all the delegates, the participants of this conference or this national webinar, both in Zoom platform as well as the YouTube platform. And I welcome all of you for this webinar. And before going for the presentations by the expert speakers, now it's my pleasure to introduce these speakers with their brief biodata. First, we'll start with the Rahul Pandey, sir. Rahul Pandey, sir, he joined in UPL during the year 2018 as a Head Strategic Marketing for India region. And he completed his BSc Agriculture from Institute of Agricultural Sciences, Banaras Hindu University in the year 1996. And later on, he completed PGDM, SPA from Indian Institute of Management, IABM Ahmedabad in the year 1998. And he has completed 20 years of service in sales and marketing, the seeds as well as agrochemical industry, with an entrepreneurial strength of close to a decade in a pharmaceutical industry. Really, it's a very great experience sir had, and he started a career with the Monsanto India Limited first of all, and he worked in different positions in sales as well as marketing in Monsanto as well as PA Industries prior to joining for UPL. And with this brief biodata, I welcome Rahul Pandey, sir, for this webinar. Now, the second eminent speaker is our Samir Tandon, sir. Samir Tandon, sir, joined in UPL in the year 2016 as a Regional Director India, and he leads UPL's business teams for crop solutions through consumer and institutional businesses, which provides crop protection, biosolutions, and advanced farm services to the farmers across the country. Samir brings with him an experience of over 29 years in handling a wide variety of businesses with both B2B and B2C business models. He has worked in leadership positions for diverse industries, including FMCG, automotive, consumer durables, agri-inputs, in handling different strategic functions along with P&L responsibilities. Prior to joining to UPL, Samir sir has worked with organizations such as Castrol, Mansant India Limited, and Escorts Agri Machinery. So this is about the brief biodata about the today's two eminent speakers. Really, it's a very great opportunity for all of us to listen to the experiences and inculcate and internalize the experiences for our future course of life. Particularly, this is more useful for the agri graduates as well as the people who are pursuing the PG in agribusiness management, as well as in other allied disciplines of maybe agriculture and engineering and other disciplines. Really, it's a great opportunity for all of us to listen to the experiences. And with this brief introduction, now I request our beloved Associate Dean sir to continue the proceedings. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Satyagopal, for having such a nice introduction about the speakers. Now it is the time for us to listen to the speakers. Now I invite Dr. Rahul Pandey, sir, Head of Strategic Marketing, UPL Limited, to kindly join and kindly give your talk on the topic challenges and opportunities in agribusiness management as a profession. Now I request Rahul Pandey ji to kindly join.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thanks Professor Satyagopal. Thanks Dean sir. Thanks everyone in the organizing committee and in the in the college for giving us this opportunity to talk to so many young students, people who are into this or trying to get into this practice, about something that we have been doing for a long while, and would really like to talk about. I just wanted to understand from someone if you're able to see the screen, because I just started sharing. So are you able to see the?
Yeah, sir, we are able to see.
Okay. So so it's really a wonderful opportunity for us, and primarily between the two of us, and obviously Samir has greater experience and comes from a different level altogether, has been in leadership positions in several companies, and I have also, as mentioned, worked in marketing and sales primarily in several companies. So between the two of us, we'd like to take you through some of the real life situations, some of the things that we have gone through and found both inspiring, challenging, motivating in this in our careers, and the way we have gone about looking at wherever we have been in this in this industry, in the several positions that we have been in, corporates that we have been in. So I am looking primarily at the challenges and opportunities that face any agribusiness professional. That's the way I look at this topic today of the discussion and of my talk. So primarily we're talking about agribusiness management and the kind of challenges and opportunities it presents. The way you could call it the way I look at a talk, or the way I go about doing it, there's going to be very little in terms of what is on the slides. So you will have some very brief, I would say, to the point kind of slides. Very few things on any of these slides matter on any of the slide, and so a lot of it will depend, will go with the talk that I give, which is primarily going to be around what we have experienced, as we have been in this industry. I've been in this industry for more than 22 years now, and a lot has changed in the time we started. So I first started in this industry in 1998 with Monsanto India Limited. At that point of time, Monsanto was a company that was making waves in the country with the way it had come in, and it almost revolutionized the way people looked at this industry. So that was an experience in itself, and it was wonderful starting off as a management trainee, and then getting into various sales and marketing positions, in the company. It is something that taught us a lot, and we've taken those learnings along with us as we have gone along. So one of the things that I think is a given when anyone ventures into any kind of management practice or embarks on any career is I think the importance of learning that happens at the beginning. What we have in the colleges, what we come as a with our background is something that definitely gives us a foundation to start. But I think a lot of it has to be reinforced. A lot of it has to be brought into practice, and a lot of learning happens when some of the theoretical aspects that you develop in your careers, in your stint in the college, is actually brought to bear when you are facing those situations. So without much ado, I'll now sort of move into the talk, and if there's something that needs to be discussed, maybe we can talk about it. You could jot down your points and we could discuss it at the end. So that is something that we could do. Let me just put it in slides. Right. So agribusiness management is what we're talking about, and I mean, you're part of a big university, a college that is has some repute in terms of the agriculture education that it imparts, and now this specialized I would say a niche kind of education given for management in this specialized field. So it's important to know, and I thought that would be a good starting point, to begin with, what an agribusiness professional is, and it's interesting to note that we, all of us now, I'm sure, depend for a lot of our information on the internet, and when there is anything that is unique or something new that comes up, I think the first place we go into is Google, and we Google that term. So it was interesting, and as mentioned earlier, I have also followed more or less the track that a lot of you would be following. I did my graduation in agriculture sciences and then moved to IABM Ahmedabad for, at that point of time, the course that was PGDM SPA. And so this term agribusiness is something that we have come across many times, and something that we have quite literally lived. But it's interesting to be able to Google this and see what agribusiness actually stands for. So very interesting to note, and I'm sure all of you would also find it quite interesting, is that this is a term that was coined in the year 1957, by John Davis and Ray Goldberg. So this is a term that goes back now at least 63 years. So that is how far back this was coined. A lot of us believe that the management studies in this began just a few years back, but this is clearly a practice that started a long time back. And as a lot of other management practice, it has its origins in the West. So that defines agribusiness as the business of agriculture production, which involves the production, storage, marketing, and sales of agriculture produce. So primarily that is the definition that was given by these two gentlemen some 63 years back. And a lot of us, I think, up until now believe that this is what it is, sort of restricted to. At the core, that's true. I mean, this is what this is about. It is ultimately about, production of agriculture commodities, without which there is no business. And once that happens, it's about taking it to the people, taking it to the consumers, as all marketing and sales, all management is about. Ultimately, it's about creating business out of it, so that everyone in the value chain, right from the farmer who grows the basic produce, to the supermarket, to the consumers who buy it, there is a value exchange that happens all along, and a business is created. So this, at the end of the day, is the core of it. But I think what we have to look at in terms of the opportunities is that the scope for an agribusiness professional in the modern day has expanded immensely. So this is not something that is restricted within the confines of the word agribusiness alone or agribusiness management alone at this point of time. I think by looking or talking about this, just as agribusiness in the restricted kind of definition that it started off with might be very limiting and give you a very wrong impression of, what is it that is possible by getting into a program that is maybe agriculture followed by an agribusiness management or an agribusiness management alone, right? So this is something that gives it a lot of, I think, opportunities and meaning. And I'm sorry, I see a lot of these things coming up on my screen. I hope others are not seeing it.
Sir, please disable the annotate option, sir.
I have
Available in
disabled it.
security option.
I haven't gone to annotate at all, but I will.
Sir, you
Participants
please
are-
annotate it, sir.
Participants annotating it, sir. So we must disable in our Zoom account.
Okay.
Please disable in your Zoom account, sir.
Okay.
So view options, in view options, we can go through.
Yeah. I've done that. Okay.
Yes.
You can clear screen, sir.
Yes, I'm trying to do that. No, this is not happening. I have disabled the annotating part, but
Not the PPT.
Or shall we go for a PPT, sir?
Close this now, open it.
You close it and reopen it, sir. Then it will be clear, sir.
okay, I'll do that.
So have you annotated?
Disable.
Yeah, I have
Right, you
removed.
close it and start again, sir. That's better.
Sure, 1 second. I'll do that. Stop share. Okay. Yeah. Sorry for that. Hope I'm back again with the screen. Yeah. So we are talking about the scope that agribusiness management has to offer, an agribusiness professional has. And I think what has happened in the last few years or decades is that the horizons have really expanded. So it's not restricted to the limited kind of definition that it started off with. While at the core, it still is about the production, the business of production of agriculture commodities, their marketing, and taking it to consumers across the globe. What has happened is the several kinds of new areas that have opened into it. As technologies have evolved, as the world has become a more networked place, a smaller place, the horizons have quite literally expanded. And it is not just geographical expansion. So I'm not talking here about somebody studying at this college, getting a job in, say, Europe or the US. That definitely is one kind of horizon expansion. But there is an expansion of horizon also in terms of the kind of jobs that you can be in, the kinds of services that have gotten added to the basic jobs that were around in agribusiness when this thing possibly started. So it's not just about the cut and dry production of agriculture commodities, their storage, their warehousing, and their moving. It's also about end user consumption of these. There has been so much specialization, so much of I would say creation of niche segments in terms of where the agriculture produce goes, that each of these niche, as it gets created, each of this, for example, and this is something that we talk about a lot at when we started off possibly 20-22 years back, you just didn't see so many food items on, any shelf in the market. Most of the food items that we purchased when we were kids were in some kind of agriculture produce market in our city or town, where when we went, what we found was basic raw agriculture produce. You went there to buy vegetables, you went there to buy fruits. At the grocers, you got your basic wheat, flour, and pulses. And that is how food business was run. So clearly that was much more restricted a horizon than what it is now. When you now go out to shop, or your friends or kids younger than your age go out to shop, they find limitless supply of packed agricultural produce, processed agricultural produce in several different shapes and sizes, right? So what all this is doing is clearly expanding the horizon for all of us who are in agribusiness, right? So all of this business that is developing, each of this product that you see on the shelf today, ultimately has to be got from, there is a raw material that begins with agriculture produce, there is processing that is happening somewhere, there's somebody who is into doing the packing and all that, there is somebody who's doing the storing, there is an operation that is getting into branding this product, creating demand for it, there is somebody who's studying whether the end consumer is going to like this, what are the specific properties or the characteristics that a consumer would like, what do you put into the produce, the product, how do you take it to the market, and all this is expanding the horizon of what is agribusiness management. Each of these activities is opening a business, for all of us to venture into, to provide our knowledge of agriculture and the specialized knowledge that we have in management to make this process efficient. And anybody who is going into this, I am sure, would cherish one of us who's out there, who has this kind of specialized knowledge, to get into them and aid their business to grow and really fly. So that is what is happening to agribusiness professionals. I think the horizons are expanding. It is not just agricultural inputs, So one of the things, and maybe to an extent that is still true about the kind of first jobs that we land in most of our colleges, the agriculture input streams, the agriculture input business, primarily seeds, agrochemicals, and fertilizer, are still possibly the first jobs that most of us land, or are what are classically considered the jobs that an agribusiness management professional gets into, right? But I think what we all have to realize is that the opportunities are becoming much bigger than that. These might be, for a lot of you or for a lot of us, even now, our first entry into the working life, but that definitely is not something that you are restricted to as you go along and grow in your careers. There are several more other businesses that are coming up. At this point of time, the agriculture produce has entered the supply chain of several big food companies, global MNCs, Indian companies, and therefore that is a major business that that requires, or that is crying out for your specialized skills, your specialized knowledge. To just give you an example, in India itself, we now know there are several companies, several MNCs, including maybe the Pepsis, the Cokes of this world. We have our own Indian, the MNCs also. There are several that are a blend of Indian and the MNC, like the ITC company. Several others who are into the McCain's, who are into this food business, the Balaji, wafers, the chips manufacturers. Everyone is now getting into the food and snack business. And for them, the agriculture produce is a part of the supply chain, it's a part of the raw material that they're getting. And that is opening up, what at the beginning was restricted to a few companies, in terms of looking at inputs for their own production. So other than the inputs that go into doing agriculture itself, the agriculture produce is now a raw material for several food companies, and that entire chain, of getting this organized, of ensuring that quality produce is produced by the farmers and at cost that is that is sort of sustainable for these companies, is a big business that is getting created, and there is a lot of scope in this. So, as I was saying, it is not just agriculture inputs anymore. It's not just about being into seeds, chemicals, and fertilizers, although they are still one of the most important companies around, one of the most important industries for an agribusiness professional. But there are other areas that are coming up that offer a lot of scope for all of us. Also, if you look at it from a functional aspect, it is not just marketing and sales anymore. So for a long time, in agribusiness especially, if not in general management itself, it was not just divided into cut and dry. It is not just divided into a finance section, a marketing and sales kind of specialization. There are several new areas that have emerged. For example, various financial services, the logistics operations, IT now to a large extent, digital are all new areas that are coming into this. And all of them require our specialized knowledge and skill. So for a digital startup, for example, even in the agribusiness space, they might have the understanding of technology. They might know how an artificial intelligence or machine learning could be put to use, for a specific operation in agriculture. But for them to know how it links back to the farmer, to the grower, to the various other people involved in this entire business, they still need the specialized knowledge and the skill set that all of us possess. So this is something that again links back to all of us and creates this immense scope of opportunities for all of us. In the end, I would just say on this particular thing, when we're talking about opportunities, that they are really, really unlimited. So the way I look at it is that this is agribusiness management is now mainstream. It is not just a niche in management that several colleges. And when I think back to my times, I was fortunate to be to get into IIM, but I also had the opportunity to join IRMA. So at that point of time, there were these 2 or 3 colleges. For a long time, even I wasn't aware that IIM Lucknow is also offering a course that has agribusiness management at its core. And ever since, there have been so many colleges, the agriculture universities have got into the act, and we have so many agribusiness management colleges flourishing across the country. Now, the fact that so many of them are getting into it should also give you an idea that this is a trade that is doing well. Because had it not been the case, just like all of us know, I'm sure a lot of you are into your marketing courses at this point of time, the biggest judge of anything becoming efficient, anything being successful is obviously the market. So if there had been no market for agribusiness professionals or agribusiness management students, then so many colleges across the country would not have proliferated and gone into this, what was at least at that point of time a niche segment. So this niche has become mainstream and clearly says that means that there are plenty of opportunities for all of us. Now, just moving to what is causing this, so we talked about the opportunities, and to my mind, the opportunities are a manifestation of something that is happening, something that is more basic. So let us look at what is driving this. It is not rocket science. All of you know that. You're smart people in doing agribusiness management. I'm sure people in agriculture, all of us know this. It is ultimately about, where this demand is going to come from. Why are we in a business that is not going to see a downside anytime soon? Because we are about feeding the global population, right? This is something that is very, very, very important. This, along with what I will talk in the next point about sustainability put together, are one of the big challenges that the world faces. We at UPL actually have it as a part of our mission, to feed the global population sustainably. So this is something which is really what is driving the opportunities. The productivity challenge is huge. All of you know better than me possibly that the arable land that is available for agriculture is at all points of time and a commodity that is decreasing, right? There's so much pressure on land from industrialization, from the need for housing, for the need to put up infrastructure, that the arable land is a number that is definitely going down, not just in our country, but in several countries across the world. And therefore, to be able to feed a population that is growing, and I'm sure all of you know, at this point of time, from the 7.5 to 8 billion that we are at this point of time, the population is projected to grow to well above 10 billion by the turn of the century, right? So if you feel that the population is very high, in some cases, it literally manifests itself and you see so many people around you. Imagine that what would happen when it grows by, say, 20%. So that is the kind of population that we're talking about, and therefore, with the arable lands coming down available for cultivation, the productivity challenge is huge. And when that happens, that opens up, opportunities. How do you grow more? How do you, and all of you know, I mean, this is a challenge for all of the world, but clearly, I mean, in a country like ours, where we are already number 1 or 2 in several, crops in terms of the production that we have in the entire global order, we are still way down on productivity. Our yields are much lower than the global yields. And therefore, there is scope for intervention, therefore scope for usage of better seeds, of agrochemicals, of crop protection chemicals, of biosolutions, of better deployment of all this. So maybe the application technology that is there, so all of this would be required to ensure that our productivity levels go up to the levels that are required for us to be able to feed the global population, right? As all of you know, I'm sure by the 21st century, at the turn of this century, the populations are expected to stabilize. So this is, we are talking about the next 80 years. How do you look at this next 80 years? How do you ensure that all this is helped? This happens quickly. It is not just also about just producing more and making more available, for consumption. It is also, as we have now experienced in our country also, the trends, the consumption trend, the food consumption habits change when economic development happens, right? So I was talking about some time back, the very basic kind of food that was available when we were kids, right? When we went to the market, there was very little that was there, and the choice was quite limited. Compare that to going into a supermarket in a Hyderabad or a Vijayawada or a Mumbai or anywhere in the world. I mean, it's amazing the kind of range that is available now, right? The kind of stuff that a kid can pick up today in a grocery store or even a food supermarket is simply amazing. Now, while that is the good part of it and something to really, really like about, what it also does is creates immense requirement for specialization in terms of production of each of this. We might be growing a lot of rice and wheat, but if that is not what the end consumer is looking for, you might still end up being short for a product like, if I have to give a very throw a new kind of a thing, the dragon fruit, So while we were all happy looking at rice and wheat some time back and getting good quantities or good quality of it, the modern consumer is looking at dragon fruit. So then there is the entire logistics going back, the entire planning going back from putting dragon fruit on the shelves to how it maps back to how it will be transported, where it will be stored, what kind of temperatures it requires, going back to what kind of a farmer would grow it, the entire development of where the seed is going to come from, where the planting material is going to come from, what kind of pests and diseases that it will encounter and how that will be handled. So all this, just the need for enough food for this burgeoning population and the need for specialized food that economic growth is bringing along with itself, which we have now seen in India over the last 20, 30 years, and which most of the globe will see as we grow economically and as poverty reduces And as you know, all of you must have heard and read in marketing, as we go up the Maslow's hierarchy, right? So as you start going up that, the hierarchy pyramid, you start going from what is very physiological or basic need to your esteem needs, right? So you eat something now because you feel that it's health, it's something that you like eating, rather than eating just to survive. So one, the very basic thing of providing enough for the people. Second, providing what the people need. All this is creating these immense opportunities, these new businesses, and all of it has to be filled by people like us, people who are into agribusiness management. The other point, and I referred to it some time back, is also about sustainable agriculture. So one of the biggest challenges, I'm sure all of us know it already, is the climate challenge, right? So there is global warming, there is change in the way the climate is. As all of you know, climate is an average. So climate is not weather, right? Climate is climate average over several years. Now, the studies over the last 20, 30 years have revealed that the earth is becoming warmer. There is more carbon dioxide getting added into the atmosphere. And, all of us have read the various words that it comes up with. There is this, global warming that is here happening. There is depletion of the ozone. There is warming of the oceans. There is already evidence that the polar ice caps are melting. The third pole, the Himalayas are losing glaciers at an alarming rate. So what that is doing is it is changing the climate everywhere. You would have experienced this in the patterns of rainfall in our country also. There are the most easily manifested form is if you look at the monsoons the way we have it now. Earlier, we used to have many more rainy days with average levels of rainfall. Now we have fewer rainy days, but when it rains, it really pours. And then there are huge dry spells. With India slated to be one of the hottest countries, we already have, if you look at it with this climate change happening, any summer you pick up the list of cities across the world and their temperatures, India routinely has 15 to 20 cities in the top 20. If not more, as the hottest cities in the world or the hottest places in the world. We are already slated as per studies to be water deficient very, very soon. And that agriculture consumes the maximum amount of fresh water that is available, up to 70% by some estimates. So sustainability is a huge challenge for agriculture because it threatens, the climate change threatens the very basic, that is the production of agriculture produce. Now, this need to create ways and means of sustainable agriculture, starting from the very basics of looking at different crop rotations, looking at specific crops based on the changed kind of climate available, the water table, looking at what is good, what can sustain in lesser amount of water, lesser amount of nutrients, is giving rise to another branch of study. If you look at it, agriculture is moving into that. Several of our national institutes are now focusing on this as to how we develop varieties that are suitable for this, how we look at hybrids that do well in deficient conditions. But what this is also doing, it is also creating more industries around this. So something that started off as a wonder in Israel, where we started talking about drip long time ago, is now something that is commonly available in India. So here is an industry that started off as being something that is, just something very curious to us, which you would go and see in our, university farms, that, drip has been put on so many acres, is something that farmers are using quite commonly across the country. So all this, the need to be able to sustain agriculture, because it ultimately has to feed so many people, and we have to do it in a sustainable manner amidst the climate change challenge, is also creating opportunities for agribusiness. These are new things that are coming up, new research is happening every day, new inventions, innovations coming up. All this is creating business for you and me, for all our agribusiness professionals. So there is immense opportunity that is coming out of this too. The third, and which is something that is not a new thing, is about the entire creation of the service industry catering to mainstream agriculture and allied activities. So agriculture, as I said, in its purest form is about production and taking it to the consumers. But in order to be able to do that, there are several industries that came up to service agriculture, and there are several others who came to service these industries. That, for example, if you were to look at the agri-input industry as a basic industry, catering to agribusiness, or as an outlet for agribusiness professionals, the agri-input industry also requires several, services to be provided to it, and then it provides these to the farmers. So if you look at finance, for example, anything, obviously nothing moves without money, and money has to be provided for the farmer to be able to buy seeds and inputs, to be able to raise his crop, for him to be able to move it to the market, for the people buying there to store it, to process it, or to move it in some other form to the market, right? The modern retail, the supermarket requires money to be able to, streamline its production, its procurement process, to be able to get so many farmers on board from whom they procure, to be able to put it in a place that is attractive, to store it in a manner that the produce stays fresh for people who are buying it. All this requires money at various stages. And where does this come from? Obviously, the finance industry. So if you look at it at this point of time, what started off with some positions in, and then all of us in the agriculture colleges would know at 20, 25 years back, the agriculture positions in our state-run banks used to be one of the most lucrative options for people studying, in BSc AG. At that point of time, these were the most coveted jobs. Now that has moved out from just the government banks and gone to the finance industry in general. So now, whether it is an HDFC, an ICICI, a Rabobank, several consultants, everywhere you see the need for people who have specialized in this field, have experience of this, to be able to get there and help them efficiently grow their business, their business of finance or consulting, or whatever service that is about. So that creates immense opportunity for all of us, and that is something that is something that all of us can look forward to. In fact, I remember an interesting anecdote around this. I remember in 1998, when I passed out of IIM Ahmedabad, during our placements, there were fewer agri-input companies. I think at that year, if I remember correctly, it was only Rallis and maybe Godrej Agrovet too that was there. Most of the people from the SPA stream also, that at that point of time, there used to be just an SPA stream in IIM Ahmedabad, not the ABM that you have now. The first year used to be common for everybody, and the second year you could specialize in some agriculture course. And we're just 20 or 22 of us in every batch. I think 16 to 17 of them got placed in banks and various finance companies and traders. So that is how it was. The classic agri-input industry actually picked up very few people. So it started to happen then. I think at this point of time, it's a big movement, and I'm sure all your colleges and people must be looking at this also as as an outlet. Now, if we move on, the other services that have come on and become more important, I think logistics and warehousing was also mostly driven by the government to begin with, but at this point of time, with also the changes in regulations coming about, this is something that is becoming more lucrative for the private industry to get into, and this is also becoming an opportunity for all of us to be in. So this is something that we should keep our eyes and our ears open for, as more and more face interface with the customer becomes organized retail, supermarkets and all that. These are going to become even more specialized, as more and more specialized produce starts coming out with specific storage requirements, I'm sure we will get into a situation where not just these supermarkets are likely to backward integrate into some of this, but there will be very, very specialized logistics and warehousing operations catering only to the agribusiness and the agri industry. So this is something that will again, provide more opportunities than what are already existing. And obviously, the most basic of this all of us know we waste a lot of our agriculture produce post-harvest. There are huge losses, 20-25% kind of losses overall. And what gets all of us out of that is processing. This also offers obviously a scope for the entrepreneurs and all of you. The government provides several opportunities for agribusiness professionals, for agriculture graduates, postgraduates to get into this, to set up your own business and not just be employed, but also be an employer. So this is something that keeps happening, is something that even after so many years of the government driving this, we are desperately short of. Forget about very refined kind of processing. We are short even of cold stores to, store the potatoes that we grow. So there is immense opportunity here, both in the organized sector as well as for entrepreneurs to jump into and start something. Moving now to something that is the opposite of opportunities. So when we are studying that, we also need to know the challenges that come with it, because I think it is very, very important to prepare for any kind of challenges that are likely to come up. Because when we are prepared, I think we are in the best, not just the best frame of mind, but also in our best form to be able to tackle that and convert that into an opportunity. The other most important thing about challenges, and I have heard it from several of my bosses who I have worked with, and challenge is why all of us exist. If there were no challenges in this environment or the business, where would be the need for specialized professionals, for management graduates, right? There is a challenge. There are people who the business believes can help them sort it out. Therefore, the opportunity exists. So it's important to look at these challenges, but while looking at them, do keep at the back of your mind that this is something what is giving us, creating opportunities for us. Those amongst us who handle these challenges the best are likely to be the most successful, end up, being the CEOs or people running, some of these corporations that exist today and the corporations of the future. So while looking at this, just keep this in mind. I think that is something that's very, very important. Now, where do the challenges for agribusiness come up with? This is more true about India, but I think it's true about agribusiness in general. It is a highly regulated business environment, right? So this is something that is very highly regulated, primarily because it has to do with food. This is something that all of us consume. So there is sensitivity around what goes onto our plate. Also because in these, whether it is the seeds, whether it is the agrochemicals or fertilizer, it is also something that we are adding to the environment. This is not something that is now, obviously, there is a huge range of biosolutions that is coming up that is of more natural origin. But, the common crop protection chemicals or the seeds are all not naturally occurring. In case of hybrid seeds, in case of GM seeds, there is a lot of science that has gone into it. We have tinkered with nature and come up with something which is not natural to ensure that we are able to meet that productivity challenge that I talked about some time back and really grow. So this highly regulated business environment, as you know, most of the inputs that have to come into the country have to be approved by various government authorities. Like we have the Central Insecticides Board for the agrochemicals. The seeds also have to be approved. Fertilizer has its own fertilizer control order that sort of looks at it. Seed has its Seed Act. So all of this is meant to ensure that the farmer at the end of the day, the person who is benefiting from this doesn't get shortchanged. So what you are giving is what it is thoroughly tested. So this requires any product to be brought in, as all of you know, requires several years of testing with the universities. A dossier has to be submitted, then an expert committee looks at that, and finally at the end of 4 or 5 years, after having spent plenty of money, a company is able to introduce an agri-input product into this country. Similar is the situation all across the globe, right? So this is highly regulated business, and because it is highly regulated, what it does is, it is not something that, for example, in marketing, in management, we learn that one of the basics of marketing is to do the segmentation, targeting, and the positioning. So you look at a segment of the market, you feel this is a market that you serve, to try to understand the requirements of that segment. What is it that they know, that they want? You look at what is available, what you can provide with your technology. A product is created with several offerings around it, and that product is taken to service this segment of consumers. What happens in the agribusiness space is that this entire process is very long drawn. So you can scan the environment for the requirements, but you will only be able to put that solution into the market after a lag of these 5-6 years that will go into, at the least. So I mean, I'm saying this period could stretch in some cases, but hardly does it become lesser than this. So to be able to introduce anything, that is the kind of lag that you have. Therefore, this calls for, so this is a challenge, because any opportunity cannot be met immediately, even if the technology is available. You have to see, you have to wait for that point of time after having invested money. What this also does is, you are not sure, because we are in an environment that is changing continuously. So you might come up with a winner as per your own estimation, but in the time that it takes to get it to the market, the entire market might change. So there is risk there is challenge, and what it asks all of us to do is to become much more planned, much more focused in terms of how we see our environment, constantly keep scanning it for inputs, so that we are aware that these are the informations that we need to work on. This is how it is going to change my future requirement of my customers. Be in very close contact with our customers, our people, to know what is it that they require, how the requirement is changing, to be able to come up with this. So this is a challenge unique in agribusiness. Primarily, if you ask me, more related to the agri input space, than the rest of the food. Although the FSSAI has also now come up, and there are several requirements of food produce also. As all of you know, there are clear guidelines for the residue levels that can exist in any food product, or the kind of even the recommended dietary intake is something that is now looked at. You cannot have more than a certain vitamin or a mineral in this, or a less than that if you are to grade a product as something, grade a food product as something. So there are several regulations that have come in. They are all very well-meaning to ensure that the consumer doesn't find himself at the short end of the stick, but that places challenges for people who are working in it. And then again, people who ace this, people who become masters of managing this challenge, are people who would grow to lead these businesses, definitely. So there is a challenge, but it comes with a very, very big reward if you're able to master this. The other big challenge, and again, I believe it is more universal, although I have a feeling that it is more now in India. I have a feeling that the urban versus rural, the city dwellers versus the small town guys. I think this divide in terms of access, or the access to the surroundings, the different surroundings that people get access to, is becoming more in India. I think abroad you still have even bigger city people being able to reach rural areas very quickly, and have good access to farmland and all that, and easy access, I would say. In India, I think it's becoming more restricted. So the general populace, people who are the biggest consumers of our agriculture produce, of the basics of the agribusiness, are actually not very aware of what agriculture is about. So I was speaking to Samir a few days back, and he put it very nicely, that agriculture is actually science, but in our country it is more taken as a tradition. The science part of it is getting lost, primarily because the general populace itself is not very aware of how it happens. There are several myths that people have about how agriculture happens in our general populace. And therefore, there are severe challenges because ultimately, this entire general populace creates the market, who are consuming all this. And when they have these myths among themselves, about whether it is crop protection chemicals or GM food or whatever, then it creates severe restrictions, because any government across the world looks at clearly what is impacting a large part of the population and tries to frame policies, or at least is driven by what they are thinking in the kind of policies that it brings about. So the fact that the people do not know that in India, for example, our consumption of crop protection chemicals per capita is possibly the least in the world. Per acre of land is obviously possibly the least in the world. And yet we are the largest producer of several agriculture commodities, is contributing to the feeling. So if you were to conduct a survey in any city in India, and ask people what they feel about crop protection chemicals, the first reaction you would draw is of horror, because people believe that they are actually getting something that is very, very contaminated. So this kind of knowledge, this kind of myth that gets created is a huge, huge challenge. And really, it is up to all of us, who are practitioners of this profession, who are educated in agriculture, to go out and really make an impact on our community around us, to give them with the right knowledge. Because any myth here is likely to take us policy-wise in a direction which is not good for all of us. So this is a huge challenge, because from time to time, this is something that can cause disruptions. There are several, there are concerns, and I also talked about the climate change and therefore the sustainability challenge. But for the general population to believe that the industry which is most dependent on agriculture is built around the agriculture, the agribusiness industry is not aware of this and acting to ensure sustainability, acting to get in new generation products, keeping the benefits of or the well-being of the population at large in mind, is something that is a myth that all of us need to shatter. There cannot be any business that does not take care of its market. So whether it is the crop protection industry, whether it is the food business, all the industries are ensuring that all that needs to be done in terms of keeping people healthy at all times, keeping them well nourished, is being done. So this is something that all of us need to talk, but this is a huge challenge, because sometimes when it suddenly blows out in newspapers, on television channels, with some of the other NGO maybe bringing it up, it becomes very sensational. And when that happens, many times the government is forced to take action which is detrimental to the benefits of the, to the well-being of the industry. So this is something that is a huge challenge. It is not something that all of us can at all points of time predict, but this is something that all of us as responsible citizens of the country, as also of people who are in this industry, should take upon ourselves to address in whatever little ways we can. The other big challenge, and I think the number 3 and 4 are more or less linked. All of us know the size of land holdings in India is small. What that does is this entire 150 million hectares of arable land gets divided into 300-400 million people who are dependent on it, and therefore our per capita land holding comes to a fraction of a hectare, compared to 30,000-40,000 hectares in other countries like Brazil, like the US, Australia. So this gives a completely new dimension to the challenge that agribusiness professionals face in this country, and this is something that is unique to us. It is not there anywhere else. The challenges are twofold. One, the inability of the grower to get into a very high level of capital expenditure to modernize the farm, to look at large-scale equipments, for farming, to go in for very high inputs to address the productivity issue. The other is that there are so many people for us to talk to. So if you are in an agri-input company in this case, you have to talk to the 200 to 300 million people who are out there doing some kind of role in agriculture. So to be able to take any product, any solution to them is that much of an added challenge. Imagine having to speak to 300 million people. Huge. Nobody else in this entire world, nobody in the agri-input industry anywhere else has this challenge. Most of the places, the number of farmers is very limited, and the purchase of farmers itself runs into millions of dollars. Here we are talking about a few thousand rupees worth of business spread across so many people. So if you have to bring a new product or a service, imagine the challenge it is to take it across the country. So this is another huge challenge. This is also something that I think only Indian agribusiness professionals have developed as an experience, as something, talking to our farmers in 15, 16, 18 different languages, being able to manage your promotional spends within that, and yet be able to communicate with all of them so that they know that this is something new that has come up and must, give it a try is an immense challenge. And I think something that all of us have to come face to face with, again, especially in the, and not just in the agri-input space. When you're procuring food produce also, you have to deal with so many more farmers. It is much easier to procure from one guy who's growing it on 10,000 acres than talking to 1,000 people, right? And getting them all on the same platform, getting them to agree to your terms and conditions. So it happens in the agri-input space, it happens in the food space. I'm sure this is a challenge that happens all across. So this is something that is, something that we need to learn. There are several things that are happening in terms of the government also trying to double farmer income. They're trying to get them to organize into FPOs, to do this. But this is something that is still developing. And for us, it is still a challenge. We have to develop the skills to work through these new organizations that will possibly come up, maybe aid the sort of coming together of farmers in some manner, so that you can lessen the number of people that you have to reach to. Also, with modern technology, with the dissemination of smartphones and all that, maybe there is a way to reach all of them in a more customized manner, right? So these are things that are happening. These are challenges that are there, which we need to sort of find answers to. And again, as I said, the people who are the best at it will really find them at the helm, themselves at the helm of the affairs. The heterogeneous nature of farming environments, if you look at India, again, we are a huge country, we are a subcontinent, and several agroclimatic zones across the country. So again, different conditions, different crops, different practices. And again, the traditional practices still find a lot of place in several farming communities. The cultures and the practices are different. So to be able to universally take across a product or a solution to the farmers, to the growing community is a challenge, right? I'm sorry, I think there is some duplication here. The other major things that are coming out of this, and we'll continue from where we left off, is clearly the profitability of the growers, which we mentioned. This is something that has been a challenge for all of us, and is happening because of some of the earlier challenges that we talked about, the size of holdings, the other major things, and that is what is causing this. The government is moving to address this. There is a big opportunity for any company that gets involved in doing this, because once you are able to do this, what it would do to, let me do this. Highlight what I'm saying. So when you do this, this is something that will really impact the profitability even of the businesses that are doing this. So this is something that I just try to highlight what the points that were not there on the earlier slide, so that Well, if you could look at those alone, I'm sorry for the duplication. So the profitability to the growers is a challenge, but whoever addresses this, whoever gets into looking at why this is happening along with the government, obviously this is not something that any one organization or a group of people can do. This is a huge challenge because it starts from the entire value chain, the way it is, in our country. There are efforts to address this. Obviously, there will be people on both sides of the aisle, some supporting that, some being against it. But a move towards the free market is very, very important. It's important that the growers, the people who buy from them, the supermarket chains, the food companies, all get the freedom to be able to do some of this independent of very stifling regulations. So that is something that will help the profitability go up. As of now, it is a challenge because whenever you get any product into the mix, so one of the key points is always pricing, in an environment like ours. You have to be always mindful of what the grower, what the farmer can afford, because this is not a great group of people who have huge profitability or are making millions of dollars out of their practice. So this is something that when agri input players like us, like UPL, when we bring to the market, we are very, very aware. We test our products and solutions for passing this test. We don't want to bring anything that is several times more expensive than what they have experienced. So this is also, sometimes it takes time. You have to delay your launch. You have to look at again it in several manners. That doesn't mean that the farmer does not value the benefits of a new product or technology. He does, but at all points of time, we have to be mindful that we are going to people who are stretched, and the profitability levels are not those that exist in the West. So that is something that is there. I think what also gets added to this is the availability of credit. So this is also something that is becoming an important part of it. There are several new institutions that are coming to sort this problem and look at that as an opportunity to grow their own businesses. So this is a challenge that is being addressed from several angles. I believe this is a challenge as of now, but if we go in and try to address this, it can be a huge opportunity for all of us. The other things that are more a challenge, and again opportunities for people who want to maybe set something up their own, is the way I look at it is the reliability of information in our business. There are several businesses that have more organized ways of collecting and processing information related to the businesses than this has. I will not be able to reliably say about the food industry or the processing industry or whatever. But as far as the agri-input industry is concerned, we are dependent to a large extent on data that is coming from the government. So obviously the acres and all that come from them. The consumption numbers and all that, unfortunately, are not subject to any kind of organized retail audit or something where you could bank on what is coming from. So the information is available many times in bits and pieces, and it is not just about information about how much of a certain product is getting sold or what are the prices. It is also reliable information about what the farmer is doing. What are the farmers' most important or emerging needs. That is also something that is a challenge. A rice farmer in AP might have very different requirements from a rice farmer in Punjab, right? So the pest might be same, but the intensity might be very different. The stage at which it appears might be different. So all of this, feeds into a big challenge, that is reliability of information, and more than that, also easy access. So when you are sitting in, say, Hyderabad, looking at an all India business in India that is all across, how do you get reliable information about what a farmer in Punjab is facing, right? So this is something that is a challenge. Again, an area that maybe market research firms and all that could work around in tandem with the industry. Again, an area that some entrepreneurial mind from among you could look at as an opportunity. But this is a challenge as of now, and therefore it calls upon all of us to develop very, very sound networks among us, so that we have this opportunity to validate information amongst us. We have this ability to go back to our colleagues and say, university or a college to verify some of the information. We have this opportunity to, speak to others in the industry to validate. So this is something that becomes a very important skill in our business. It's a skill everywhere. I'm sure all of you know, if you looked at any organizational behavior course, that networking is a very, very important skill, right? But here it has a life of its own. So this is something that's very important. This is a challenge that all of us have to. Finally, I wanted to talk about a challenge which is, to my mind, stops several people from coming into this business or this profession. I think the perception that is built around agribusiness, is something that all of us also need to change. Now it is changing. I mean, I think, I don't know what the status is in your college, but in several other colleges, I reliably know that even in IIM Ahmedabad, for example, the ABM course, it is not just the the agri graduates who are getting there, but there are people from law, from commerce and all that who have some, link with agribusiness who reach there. I think, this is the perception that needs to be quelled. A lot of the people are dissuaded from getting into it because they feel that this is something that will tie me to an area which will stop my, development. I will be in a rural kind of setting. I will be in a business that is primarily maybe only agri import and does not allow me to think beyond that. As I think, I mean, the opportunities that we spoke about at the beginning of this is for all of us to take. The level of skills in agribusiness have improved immensely as several colleges have come up across the country who are tending to this kind of raw material in terms of the agribusiness graduates or people who have worked in agriculture, and giving them the management savvy to take them to the businesses. But I think we will benefit immensely when this perception that this business is only very restrictive and limited only to these few things is taken out. We will have new influx of talent, and that is something that is always good for any business and any profession. So as I said, amongst these opportunities and challenges, we have a few responsibilities that all of us should do. When we talk, let us spread more truth, more, let's illuminate it for the common people who are not in this. And once we do this, it will create immense goodwill when people realize that this is an industry that is catering to the most basic of human needs, putting food on your plate, amidst such challenges that, half of them don't know we are going to face, is something that will create a lot of goodwill, and you will see the respect for, the profession grow. And that is what all of us are about. So thanks a lot. With this, I'll end what I had to say. And then if there is something that we want to talk about, then, we could do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, Sri Rahul Panditji, for an excellent talk on challenges and opportunities in agribusiness management as a profession. And you gave an excellent talk on the unlimited opportunities that there are there in the agribusiness management. And perhaps you said about the most important aspects of profitability of growers, you touched upon. And of course, you also said that not only the employment, one also can create the employment for others. It's really very nice to hear such nice talk from you, sir. And the challenges in agribusiness you have made very nicely. And we'll have the interactive session, sir, later. Now, I request the second speaker for today's program, Sri Sameer Tandon, Regional Director of our country, UPL Limited. I welcome and invite Sri Sameer Tandon to kindly join us. Yes, sir. Please.
Hi, good morning to everybody, and thank you so much for having me here. I really feel privileged to be part of this, and thank you so much. And I think the only one complaint I have is I would have loved to be physically present in Tirupati or in the institute and enjoying some Andhra food after that. I love it.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
I would have loved to do that, but now I'm asking my office guys, the admin guys, to serve me at least some sambar rice so that I can have a feel of Andhra here. So thank you. Thank you so much. What I am going to talk is mostly going to be around my experience. And so actually my PPT is not going to be, too much relevant. If you have to listen, and you'll have to listen to me in in total to understand this PPT. Otherwise, it would be a really something which is. Can you see my PPT?
Yes, sir. It is. We are able to see.
So for everybody, what I would do is I would speak, and when I'm speaking, it would be more relevant than what it is, because usually my PPTs are very deceptive. What is written on there is not usually what I speak. So good. So thank you once again, and welcome to do this. Let me tell you a little bit about UPL. UPL is a $5 billion company. So if I have to talk about in Indian rupees, it would be almost about 40,000 crores. So a 40,000 crore company employs around 11 to 12,000 people across the globe. And in that, it would be almost 1,500 management graduates. And so all of you who are here in this call today also could look at it, that what is the worth of management graduates or the management students who come across and work with the industry. Today, industry needs more and more of people who can make agriculture much more effective. All of you who have heard Rahul about it so far would have seen that Rahul has been talking about again and again about challenges about lower productivity in agriculture not getting that position in industry what others have gained, although it is one of the oldest industry. So I think that is where the need of everybody is there. And I think the students, specifically of IABM, TIRUPATI, are very lucky that you have such a set of professors, the deans and the professors. Specifically, if I have to talk about Professor Satyagopal, who has been trying to interact and get all of us to come in and speak to you, share our experiences. Usually, in my time, if I have to remember when I went to college, most of the industry interactions were left to the students to go and fetch them. I think you guys are very lucky that you have your professors working for you and asking to, interact and get organizing these sessions for you to be able to learn from practical experiences. And anyways, with so many professors around, I would not risk myself to talk theory. I never did it when I was student also. I always avoided. Now also I would avoid, and I will talk something which I personally feel is very, very practical, and what I have learned through in my experiences in various industries, and specifically lately into agriculture. So the topic given to me today was how to become an efficient agribusiness management professional. Typically of me, I would say for all of us in India, it's a little, I wouldn't say wrong, but this whole question itself has to be dealt differently, because all of us in India, or all Indians, we can proudly say that we have a very, very frugal mindset. And when we say frugal mindset, means that we want to save. We are little miser type of people. Whatever we earn, whatever we do, we always look for, can I do it in lesser? And when I keep thinking about, can I do it in lesser, I can do it lesser. And that's the reason a lot of industry, which is very cost oriented, has come to India, and we have been able to cut the cost down. And this is not coming around that we pay less. It's about our whole strength. As an Indian, our strength is frugality. Even the Prime Minister has talked about so many times that we do this jugaad, we do that jugaad. And the jugaad word actually went to Oxford from India because we could really talk about something saving. So the frugal mindset, what we talk about is one of a very, very, very key strengths for us in India. And I think this is natural. It is genetic for us. And when something is natural, something is genetic, we could always talk about that this is something which we could do it very easily. So I would tweak this little bit and talk little differently. And I would say actually that being efficient is not possible if we are not effective. Frugality is in our DNA, it is our genetics. So we are actually, in say, miser, a guy who want to do in a lesser and lesser and save money. But what we do not have is at times we are not very effective. And actually not being effective and only being frugal at times actually makes us inefficient. So, to be really, really efficient, one has to be very effective. And I thought that is the reason I had put a huge red question mark here, that are we really talking efficiency here, or we are talking something which would make an overall efficient and not just efficiency in terms of saving cost. So would start with one of the big quotes of the biggest management gurus, Peter Drucker. And all of you who have been doing business management would have seen this many times and would have heard about Peter Drucker. So what he talks about is management is doing things right. Doing things right is management. But the leadership is doing right things. So efficiency, if you really ask me, is a mixture of two. You have to lead and you have to manage. And if you are not able to do either of them, you cannot be an efficient manager. So management of doing things is very, very important. So what we are talking about here is, if I do things right, in a right way, I have a process, an SOP established, that I keep doing things right again and again, that is management. And if I can manage that as a flow, is a management. But what is the right thing to do? What is the right thing to do at that right time is what is leadership. So I, with my experience, come around with this, where I give a lot of weightage on leadership, and first to really talk about what are the right things to do, and then establish a process to keep them repeatedly doing it right. Now, whatever I spoke is here, leadership skills plus functional skills. So there are a lot to do with, and that you find it, leadership skills are in dark green, and dark green is to symbolize that we want to do this and we want to really focus on this much bigger. It's much bigger, which we could do it. And it's very important that as students, when you're working and when you're learning in the institute, you start working on leadership skills too. Because when you come to the corporate world, and anybody who starts working in the corporate world, people very quickly starts expecting from you that you are coming from an institute, you are coming in with a professional education background, you should come around and take charge. And that's something which is very important. And that's the reason I thought that I would focus a lot on leadership skills to become a really great professional. And that's the reason I avoided that efficient professional or efficient business professional word here, because I feel just efficiency is not really something which as an Indian we should strive for. We should talk about and we should strive for to be a very great and really a great professional, which is a combination of leadership skills and functional skills. So I will talk in detail about this as we go further. Now, leadership skills, very simply stated, and very simply everybody will know, oh, leading people is leadership skills. I don't really believe so. People leadership in leadership skills is just a small part of it. Very, very small part of it. A lot has to do with the personal leadership as well. Of course, when you get a chance to lead teams and things like that, you have to demonstrate at a very different level of leadership. But a personal leadership makes a person more effective, and in that sense, makes it more efficient. One of the things which you have always heard of, from the beginning, and specifically in India, for us, our mothers, parents, everybody at home starts with this. Oh, honesty is the best policy. Integrity. Integrity is what is the most important thing. And here again, a lot of us will talk about what is integrity. Now, if you see on the slide, you would read it, the choice between what's convenient and what's right. Now, again, this is about doing the right thing. And it is not about doing the right thing once. It is to do the right thing again and again. And even when somebody is not watching us. Very, very important. And when you talk about personal integrity, is about that if I own a task, if I own a particular objective, I need to demonstrate 100% integrity to it. If I am not integral of it, I am not taking it as seriously as possible, I would not be able to deliver it. So it's very, very important that integrity, honesty by which I own the objective. And it's very, very important here. Again, I'm stressing it on, and that's the reason this is number one in for me when I speak to all of you is integrity, ownership of the objective. So whatever job is assigned to me, do I own it? And if I do not own it, I would fail. And this is why this comes as number one. So integrity is one of the big ones. Specifically, empathy is a journal leadership skill. It's a journal leadership skill, and you could talk about it that it is something which everybody talks about. It's a combination or a handshake between heart and the mind. When we talk about sympathy, how do you differentiate from sympathy to empathy? Sympathy is coming only from the heart. Oh, I feel touched. I need to do something for this person. I need to take care of him. I feel pity about him. All this could be empathy. But if you mix some mind to it and you say, oh, let my heart shake hands with my mind, and then you have a logical thinking. You are saying, yes, I feel about it. I want to really help this person who's in trouble. But then I just don't express pity. I try to find ways and means of helping him. And why empathy in agribusiness management becomes very, very important, and more important than in any other industry or any other part of life, is because agriculture is very season dependent. The farmer is actually a poor guy. He is not one of the rich guys in the society. He doesn't earn so much that he can take large financial shocks. So it's very important when we work in agriculture, we need to understand this. We need to have empathy towards the farmer. That this guy is going to put hard work, and after all his hard work, what is that he's going to gain? And if there is a problem, how can I help him? And that's the reason that all of us who are, and specifically if I have to talk about UPL, we believe a lot about that I need to work here to improve the lives of the farmer. I need to work to improve the income for the farmer. And if I work to improve the income for the farmer, I would actually add on to my business, because that's who is giving me my business. It's very, very important. And a lot of times, people come around, oh, I'm very empathetic toward the farmer. His crop has failed, so I don't have to ask him money about the inputs what I have supplied. It's bullshit, if you really ask me. It's not something which is empathy. This is foolishness. And that's the reason empathy is a handshake between heart and mind. Of course, you want to help him, but you cannot wave off. Because if you wave off the money which he owes it to you, then how would you live? How would you progress? So important is that, yes, I need to be empathetic about him, but what I need to do is help him to tide over his losses. How do I work to improve his practices? How do I work to help him generate more cash as it comes through? And how do I get him out of that trouble? This is about empathy, thinking about spending more time, understanding him well from his family, what he does, everything. So that's about empathy. And I thought this is a very, very important aspect of an agribusiness management. After integrity, empathy is the number two. But I would say actually both at par, maybe both you could call it number one priorities for something. Strategic thinking. And when we talk about strategic thinking, what are we talking? We always talk strategy. And on this slide, you will see there is a photograph of chess. Everybody says in a game of chess, you need to employ strategy. How are you going to defeat? How are you going to kill? And this is how strategy is. Now for a sport to play and to enjoy, it's a great strategy. But when you are looking at business strategy, when you are coming into the corporate world, when you are talking about a strategy in real terms in the way you have to work, it is not between two people, it is with many people. And your strategy is as good as how much it is owned by people. So strategic thinking is just not about building what I can do for tomorrow. Typically strategy is decided that what is that I have to achieve objective, how is that objective I'm going to achieve in a defined time. This is the strategy. But I would like all of you to think a little differently. And that's where these three circles which you see, why, how, what. Now, the darker the color of the circle tells you what is the importance of that. Now, when you're looking at strategy, you're looking at any objective to be achieved. Any objective to be achieved requires a strategy. And that objective to achieve, you start asking first and understanding it there. Why do I want to do this? And if the why is very clear, why do I want to do this? In business, a lot of times, a lot of business leaders do a mistake and they say, oh, I want to have 4 times the profit in next 2 years. And my strategy is this, that I need to have 4 times the profit. And the way I would do it is I will introduce some 10 different products. I will enter into these segments, that segments, and all of these things, business leaders will talk at times. They fail. A lot of times they fail. They have to be very lucky to succeed when they think like that. But if you start thinking it in to out, and when you say why, okay, why do I exist? Why I have to make 4 times the profit? Now, objective of 4 times is not bad. You want to make 4 times the profit of today is not a bad objective. It's a great objective. But why do I want to make 4 times the profit? I want to make 4 times the profit because if I make 4 times the profit, I can invest in to develop more technologies. And for making 4 times of profit for me, I have to reduce the cost of my customer. I cannot reduce the cost of my customer and make more money because he won't come with me if I do not do that. So it's very important that if we have very clear about why I would do that, and if why is clear, usually your strategy would be very, very clear. To figure out how to do it is very simple. So if you say, oh, I will make 4 times the profit is my objective. So how to do it is very, very simple, because you say, oh, if I have to go 4 times the profit, I may have to connect with so many farmers. And for so many farmers, if they are making an X profit today, how do I make it sure that they also make 2X profit? And if they're going to make 2X profit, there will be no problem for him to share little bit with me. And if I keep connecting with more number of farmers, I keep picking up little more of the share of the profit, which I am adding to him, I will surely go 4 times my profit. The moment why is clear, how comes so simply. And then the how comes, then what is very simple, because then you say, oh, what I will do, I will employ people, train them, equip them with infrastructure and products which can take this, what I have thought about in my strategy, who can take it to people. I will do a lot of extension activity around to do that. So typically from agriculture, an example I have explained to you about how the strategic thinking works. It starts from why and not what. Usually we get stuck up first as what. If you're very clear, why do you want to do it? You can start looking at improving and working on your strategic thinking. Communication. Now this is heart of all. Whatever I do, if I cannot communicate, then there is no use. So it's very, very important that communication becomes a key. And communication as well is just not speaking a language, not really a command over language. You could actually have a great communication if you do not understand a particular language. In India, we take pride that we speak English, but the moment when you step up into China or in Japan, you will find, or even in Germany, you will find a lot of people do not even speak English. So learning English and be able to communicate in English is not great communication skill. Communication is about learning the art. What is my audience, to whom I am communicating, to whom I am speaking wants? Am I able to do it? What is the content I need to offer? Where do I go in and say what? And what should I do so that whatever I am addressing is addressing his concerns, addressing his problems, and that is about communication. Again, if you go back to the earlier slide, which I talked about the why, how, and what, is exactly you could break down communication as well. If you are communicating, why are you communicating? Once you have that why clear, you want to communicate because you want to solve somebody's problem. You want to be friend with him. You want to do what? Anything you want to do, you need to understand why. And if you understand that why, then your communication will become far better. It's not important alone. Of course, in India, it is very important that we learn English as well, and we learn some other language, because that's the strength we have. We have a country who speaks so many languages. If we have more number of language skills, we are much better off. We are more versatile. We are more agile to move to different parts of the country and can make a much better career if we speak more languages. But communication, you should differ it from the language skill. The language is important and very important, and it will give you a lot of help across. But then it's a communication why addressing the need of the person with whom you are communicating is very important. And so the content and how you go around doing it. And if you start developing specifically in agriculture, communication is also demonstration. You should be able to demonstrate what is there in your mind through your body, through your gestures, and with everything. Because when you are interacting with a farming community, they are very reserved community. Actually, they have a lot of cynicism in their mind. because a lot of people have at lot of times have cheated them. So they actually are very, very reserved and safeguarded because they do not know who's going to help them and who's going to cheat them. So it's very important for us to design ourselves in our body language that we give that confidence to them that, yeah, this is what is expected and this is what I'm addressing, so that we create a bridge between us and with them. And that's the communication I was talking about. Networking. Now, this is again a very, very important aspect of agribusiness management and for a manager who gets into agribusiness. There are so many stakeholders in agriculture. You know, normally all of us speak, oh, there is a farmer, and this farmer is to be served. So I need to talk with him, I need to work with him, I need to demonstrate things, and if I work with, I will be a great business professional. Sorry, it's just one aspect of talking, working with the farmers. There are many stakeholders, and if I need to worry about what I need to add value to the farmer, I need to look at who are the other stakeholders around. There is a very big stakeholder, which is government. So do I meet the government guys and understand what are the schemes? And if I understand those schemes well for the farmer, I can actually communicate with the farmer better, that I actually communicate to him the schemes and try to see how those schemes, if are given to the farmer, how would it impact its overall economy, and its overall economy, how it's going to impact me. So networking with the government guys. Networking, if I am an input guy, like in UPL, we are all supplying inputs to the farmer. And a lot of times I say, oh, I have my input supplier, so I have done it. Maximum, I'll network with my competition and try to understand what they are doing. Somewhere try to find out and then attack them. This is really foolish networking, because you would never get to know closest of your friend, who's your competition, would never tell you the truth. If he tells you the truth, he has been dishonest to his organization. That he can never do. So it's very important that what is that we do? We network to find out what are the problems which we see going forward. How do I work through and solve this with this? I network with the whole dealer group who is serving them. I network with the people who are buying produce to understand what would be the problems, what type of things they would buy, what quality of things they would buy. And if I am able to fix up, oh, this is the quality which a buyer is very happy and he will pay premium, I can go and add value to my farmer and say, oh, see, if you get this quality, you will get a better price and better return. So let me work with you to create that quality. If I have network with the buyers. The same way, if I have networked with the banks and with the government guys, these are the schemes which I can bring it to you. Overall networking in the whole environment can give us a much better edge than anybody else. And this is where I personally find that a lot of people who come in agriculture, they come in as if it's going to be a 9-to-5 job. I have come in, my job is because I have learned Excel and I have learned analysis on an Excel sheet and I will be able to do it. No, you would fail. It's important to network around all of the environment. And once we do that, we will be able to get a much better take. Now we're talking about inspiration and motivation, and it's very important. Now, inspiration and motivation is both ways. Inspiration and motivation for the people with whom I deal with. And this is again in the whole network. The networking which we talked about in the whole environment. How do I inspire people to join me in my mission? If my mission is to add value to the farmer, how do I inspire the government guy? How do I inspire my dealer? How do I inspire the grain trader, or all other people to join this whole movement to add that value. So that's inspiration. And what is the motivation? How do I motivate the farmer? How do I motivate all people around me? And if I'm leading team, a motivation for them to join this whole mission. Very, very important. And if I can't do it, because you would have heard when Rahul was talking about agriculture is the only place where a person who comes into this business has to deal with lakhs of people, millions of people. So if you think that alone you are going to do it, it's going to be very difficult. So it's very important that we need to inspire the whole world, make your objective, your focus to be shared with many people. And that's very, very important for us to take it through. And that is where I personally feel that when you are doing it, when you are within your institutes learning it, try to see how many people you are able to take with yourself. How are you able to inspire people to do things what are very close to you and you want to do. So these were about leadership skills. If you want, I can just do a little bit of recap. Integrity for self, so that you are honest what you want to do. Empathy, where we talked about that it's about shaking hands of brain and the heart to be logical partner and see it that your customer always triumphs. Strategic thinking is about thinking why, not about thinking what. It is thinking why, and then how and what you can always figure out if you have a motivation and inspiration. The communication is about content. Communication is about what is the target audience and how do you take it further. Networking is about all stakeholders around you for your business.
Sir, please annotate, sir.
Please disable.
Please disable the annotate, sir. You please go through the view options in the top, sir.
Yeah.
So then you click view options and you will find annotate. Then you click on that, sir.
I'm not seeing it, sir.
View options is there, no, sir, in the top. You are viewing Samir Tandon screen and you will find view options in the top, sir.
I'm finding annotate.
Is it, sir, in the top you will find, sir, you are viewing the Samir Tandon screen. Are you seeing that, sir? The top.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing annotate.
That you click on that, sir.
Yeah.
And you can do one thing, sir. In the down, you will find the security.
Clear all drawings. Yeah.
Security.
Yeah, it's okay. I think it's gone now. Do you see the drawings again still?
Right.
It's gone. It's gone.
Right, sir.
It's again come. So I don't know why it is coming.
No problem, sir. Carry on, sir.
So, and we talked about inspiration and motivation to make people join you in whatever we want to do. We need to make people join, share our focus, share our objective, and then we do it. Now coming to the functional skills, and this is something which is all of you in the institutes, in the places where you work, in the places where you're learning. This would be a lot of focus coming on here. And functional skills are basically trying to take one end, meet the other end, and usually that is what you are trying to do. So this is the input and this is the output you want. And when you are putting an input and looking at a defined output is a functional skill. Now, the topmost for me here is the domain knowledge. Now, domain knowledge, and a lot of us who are, and specifically, let me tell you, I'm not an agriculture graduate. I did actually engineering and mechanical engineering, which is nothing to do with agriculture. But then, the job I do is not synthesizing chemicals. the job I do is not breeding. So it's perfectly all right if I understand the aspects of agriculture and I find out how do I add value to the farmer. You would see a really handsome looking a young farmer in there, and this is the way my imagination of the farmer is. I don't want to see a farmer poor. I don't want to see a farmer clumsy. I want to see him smart as I see it in this photograph. And this is typically how a domain knowledge has to be built in. That's my objective, that I need to make a farmer a very, very healthy, wealthy, and somebody who wants to do this. So the domain knowledge about agriculture, what crops, how to be grown, what has to be done is very important. And I think all of the people who study BSc Agri would always go in and understand what are the pathologically what is needed, what is agronomically needed, and how do I do breeding, what type of varieties and all type of things. All these things would a person know, but that's not enough. Somebody will come and say, oh, I have got now few years of experience in agro input industry, so I know how commercially this market works, so I have enough domain knowledge. No, that's again not enough. What is important is to know everything, is to know about agriculture, agriculture practices, to know about as compared to what agriculture practices in your area are, your yields are, how are they as compared to what is happening globally. What is happening in the most advanced countries. Now, if you know that this is a difference, then you can start making a program to strike a balance between the difference and trying to achieve and knock off that difference. Similarly, what is the trade doing? When you are dealing with the dealers, distributors, what is their problems? How do they conduct their business? From where their finances come and where their finances are going? Which businesses they are investing more and which in businesses they are investing less, and why, and vice versa. So developing a domain knowledge is very important for everything. So agriculture, the trade, and also about the markets, agriculture markets. And agriculture markets where people are going and selling. What is the rates going on? Why rates are lesser for some people and why rates are higher? What type of thing you can do that your farmers are able to get a better price? And what time of the year he will get a better price? So if you have that domain knowledge, you could do Ministry of Agriculture and farmer, both ways you have to understand what are the schemes for the farmers and also understand the regulatory side of it. Because when you are into business, it's very important to know what the law says. Because it's a highly regulated industry, agriculture. So you need to know what does the law say. And within that law, how can you take advantage of what you do? It's very important to categorize what are the things that the government is saying. And in that, how do I excel? What is that I am able to pinpoint or pick up, which others may take little time to come around. Similarly, looking at environment, earth, and it's very important to look at it, what's happening to the soil. Thinking about what's happening, how the farmer is getting services. Who is providing him? Who would do that? So our domain knowledge, far from theoretical knowledge or theoretical science knowledge or a practical science knowledge, even what you have done in your BSc Agri or what you have done when you have studied management. It's very important to do it all round. Whatever can impact agriculture or whatever can have an impact on me, all that is to be learned, and we should know that that's the domain knowledge. Very, very important. It's a functional skill. It will come through a lot of reading, which come through a lot of research around to different things, but very important to do. Analytical, and this is something which is very basic for a student or for a person who is into management. And analytical skills, everybody does, and more I see it, people mistake this or misunderstand this with data crunching, and they say, oh, I know how to work on Excel sheet, and I can do a lot of data crunching, and I can come around, put this and all this, and I will come around. Oh, this last year in this segment we sold so much. This year in this segment I sold so much. So my loss is in this segment. That is not analysis. It's only data crunching. It's very important to understand why it happened. What is the data telling you? If you are able to speak with your data, if the data is able to speak to you, you can start thinking that you are reaching to a stage where you can think, oh, you are getting analytical. It's not about just Excel sheet data crunching. So the first step of being analytical is information gathering. A lot of times we feel that information which has come to us on its own is enough. And that's where we go wrong when we are analyzing it, because what we know and what is public domain available knowledge is not enough. Because if that was enough, then you don't have to analyze. It would be very apparent and people would be taking decisions on their own and you would not have to add any value. So if you want to be very, very strongly analytical, what you need to go around is look for more sources of data. Look at more information which you may find relevant or irrelevant, but pick up information concerning that. So typically when you're looking at, oh, the market in this area is not growing. Very simply, you will say, oh, my sale has not grown, so the market has not grown. But look at it, what happened to the farmer? Is the farmer able to survive? Because if the industry is not growing, look at what the problem farmer will be going through. But if the farmer is doing all right, that means you are missing something. There is a change in farmers' behavior. There's a change in farmers' demand. Maybe you have not been able to point out. So if you collect information on farmer, collect information on the dealers, collect information on what is happening in the competition, and then collect information on what's happening on the season, you would be able to maybe able to reach a better understanding than what you would be. So information gathering is very, very important. More and more information gathering is required if you want to be a very good analytical manager. After you have gathered so much of information, what is required is to put them into filter. Very important to filter this information around to draw inferences. And here you need to evaluate each and every information which came and evaluate, is it relevant to what has happened? Is it relevant to what has happened? Once you say, oh, I have collected this 15 different informations around this subject, but I think 10 of them are not relevant and 5 only are relevant. Let me take into account 5 of this and draw inferences and see, are they looking probable ways? Are they looking probable analysis that this is why this could have happened or this could happen? So it's very important to drawing inferences after filtering the information and removing the unwanted ones. And as a very successful business manager or business leader, it's very important after you have taken the information, you have filtered the information, it's very important to build different and alternate perspectives. Why I talk about different and alternate is what is apparent will not give you success. You will always have to think about what could be an alternate perspective. It's not that you will always reach to a different and alternate perspective, but if you know different and alternate perspective, you are better equipped to fight that issue or a problem. So it's very important that any information analysis should be able to give us many perspectives, and we should be able to evaluate. It's never one-way street. It's always multiple way. Things will happen from different ways. The world is like this. The world moves like that. So it's very important to gather information, filter it, and build perspectives which are different. If there is a very apparent perspective coming out of analysis, challenge it. look at alternate perspectives, because usually what is apparent will not give you success. You will have to look at an alternate piece and position yourself very differently. Commercial acumen, it's very, very important. And the picture here, if you really see, is talking about that you are nurturing a plant which is growing currency, and then you are growing more currency, then harvesting currency and saving currency. Now, this is the best way to look at commercial acumen, where you are saying how it is. So in this, it's very important for a guy who has done a business management, because he will come and manage business. It's very important that you understand what is the return on investment of everything what you do. And return of investment in a commercial means is not only that, oh, so much of advertisement and promotion I did, so I should get so much of return. Of course, that is one way to look at it. But it's very important that how much money I'm spending, how much time I'm spending, and what is the return I'm going to get it out of that. What are the schemes I am running in the market? If I'm running a scheme, am I getting the return of it? Somebody else is pocketing that return, or it is I am getting that return? Understanding what will make an impact. Now, usually, a lot of times people feel, oh, I'm not able to sell today. Let me give some discount. And when I give discount, farmers will buy. And usually people find they fail by giving discount, farmer doesn't buy again. Farmer keeps buying that expensive product. Now, at one end, we say, oh, farmer is a poor guy, but he still keeps buying an expensive product. He doesn't buy a cheaper product after giving discount also. Why? Because farmer doesn't trust that the price is always going to give him benefit. Farmer needs trust in what he wants to use. Does he trust you? So your commercial acumen will come in this picture, that with my product, what is the profit my customer is having? And if I know that he is making enough profit, I don't have to discount. But if I feel that, oh, this guy with my product is not making enough profit, but my competition is able to give him a proposition with which his profit is higher. So let me see, how do I now react to? Do I bundle it with something? Do I give him discount? Or I promise him something over and above which gives him further more benefit? So that type of a thinking of looking at ways and means of creating a win-win situation for all stakeholders. So your stakeholders could be your dealers, could be your farmers, could be anybody in the government stage. So you to understand very clearly, a penny spent, what is that? It is returning to me. And that is something is very, very important for us to understand. And this acumen can be developed very strongly if you start reading a lot of case studies. You have Harvard Business Review case studies. You would have a lot of case studies which are written by IAMs in India, and they're all available in public libraries. So you could get them and start looking at solving those problems, moving around, how do it, what did people do. You will develop a perspective which would be very strong commercial perspective to understand what do I do and what do I get returned today and what do I do which I'll get returned tomorrow. Very, very important to understand that. Creativity and innovation. Now, examples here are when you search creativity, people say, oh, I did a good painting. I'm a very creative guy. I created a very good advertisement. I'm a very creative guy. And most of the times you will find that that doesn't help. What helps is, how did you innovate? So I have two examples here and which I would explain to you. One is, you all know, and all the young people today have been using OnePlus phone a lot. OnePlus phone came in a time when this was a crowded market led by Samsung and Xiaomi and different and this and that Chinese onslaught of different phones coming in. Phones available, smartphones available from 8,000 rupees to 80,000 rupees. And it was very difficult to position anything. These guys came with an innovative approach. They brought in a good, reliable phone, brought it to the pricing at the mid segment, not very expensive, but at premium mid segment, where they felt that, oh, they will launch it. But the way they went around doing it, they asked people that register yourself and this option to buy for you, because we only want to give it to elite few. We want to give it to very few elite. And that's how they built the whole segment of mid-priced elite segment. They created it to launch their phone. And today they are ruling. They're ruling that market. And that is why it's innovation within. The product may not be innovative so much, but they innovated the way they approach the farmer, the customer, the way they position themselves so that the customers trust them and they come around. For every, like an Apple, which is at the premium side, every OnePlus launch is also one of the most watched events across the globe. Similarly, in UPL, we started thinking about a farmer goes to the field, hires labor to spray chemicals, or farmer uses himself or his family members to spray chemicals. Now, chemicals to be inhaled are not very healthy. You want safety of the farmer, you want safety of the operator who's spraying it. Plus, as well, when a manual spray happens, it's not a uniform spray, because you are spraying at different heights depending on what height of this person is, and he's spending whole day spraying it. We thought that we need to mechanize this. Not that this technology was not available, but this technology was available, but farmers cannot afford it because each machine costs almost 20 lakh rupees. So what we did was, we said, okay, let me train operators. I will buy these machines and I will give these machines as a service to my farmers. So my farmer can book it, this machine. When he buys my product, he books this machine, I go and spray it for him. And instead of hours of work, 1 acre gets done in 7 minutes. The operator is sitting in safety. He doesn't inhale anything because whole of the drift of the chemical is down. And this, when we introduced this, a lot of people laughed at us in the industry and said, oh, what are these guys doing? They are becoming sprayers. They are actually going to fight with the labor. But we employed the same labor, but we created such a huge value for the farmer. Farmer could reduce his cost of spray and a much safer way to do it. In that, the farmer rewarded us with a much excess market share. So a lot of those products which he would have otherwise not buying from us started buying from us. So innovation is just not about inventing new things. It's also about adopting practices which you would have seen across and bringing them to this industry for the first time, or bringing it to your area for the first time is also to innovate. And if you can start thinking about the value which you could create, how innovative you could be, and that is something is very, very important to all the time thinking about what new I could do, what others have missed so far. And that is something which is about innovation. So I have actually come to the end of this, most of it what I wanted to speak around. I have just one more slide, and this is more to do with any individual in any business. It's just not restricted to agribusiness. It is for everybody who wants to build his career, who wants to be successful in managing businesses. It could be agribusiness, or it could be any other business, or wherever you want to be successful, to be a very effective professional. It's very important for each one of us to be a very effective professional, have to be a total person. You cannot say that I will only have goals to academic goals. I can only have my business goals. If you cannot do all round, it is very difficult. So my last thing which I'm going to submit to all of you here is there are 6 spheres of life. And this is defined by a very, very profound management guru earlier. His name is Paul J. Mayer. And Paul J. Mayer had done this that for a successful person, he needs to not have goals only for his career. He needs to have goals balanced into all 6 spheres of his life. Very, very important. And if you don't do it, you have a problem. So I will start with physical and health. So it's very important for anybody to have, you need to have a goal, and you need to be physically and have to look well. Look well doesn't mean that I am dark or I am white. Look well doesn't mean that, oh, I do it, but I need to groom myself. I need to change my body language in a way that I present myself pleasingly with people. My health has to be very fine. My health has to be that with that health, I can go anywhere, do anything, and whatever work I do, my health doesn't spoil it. So a goal where you can say, oh, physically and healthy, I would take a goal that I will achieve this. Usually, if you are thinking of to be in a corporate world, and if you're thinking to be very successful, I'm not saying that the fat people are not successful, but if you are fit, if you can have a personality to walk, you would add and confidence to people. So it's very important to have that goal. So please take a goal in that, oh, I will not allow my tummy to get out. I will be fit and I will go through. And it's very, very important that the goal should be there, that I will exercise so much. I will remain myself healthy and physically fit. Mental and educational. So today what we did was sort of something where the mind was getting stressed, the mind was getting knocked off, that what is that we are trying to do. But again here, what type of capabilities I need to develop more, what I need to do, what I need to read, what type of courses I need to do more. And these can be different and more from what you do. So if you feel that I have done my business management, I did my graduation, I did my post-graduation in business management, now I don't have to do anything educationally, sorry, you would miss the boat. Reading and education is lifelong. And if you cannot keep reading, keep adding on more skills to you, you will become redundant very soon. So as you achieve one goal, please keep adding another goal where you could say, oh, mentally and educationally, I need to explore more. Family and home. If there is no peace in the family, and if I don't enjoy going back home, that is worthless. Because we are all family people who live with family, want to see success in family. So very important that we need to have goals there as well. Oh, what is that I have to do for my family? My parents are living in this place. Do I have to do a better house for them? Do I have to give them that comfort? My parents do not drive right now cars. Can I make life easier for them and get a car for them and a driver and a chauffeur which drives them around? Do I need to do up my home? What I need to do? So you have to have goals in family and home as well. And each goal, the moment you achieve it, take another goal so that you will be aspirational, you will aspire to do more to serve that. And it is family and home is as well important. I am going exactly in that direction, which is clockwise. Spiritual and ethical, very, very important. You all, the institute, of course, the people would be from all across the country, and I was hearing there are people from across the world, some places and doing about. But for the institute, which comes from the land of Tirupati, land of Lord Venkateshwara, and I believe this, and this is my belief, and it's just not about you. Whichever religion you belong to, every religion teaches that humanity first, and spiritually helping people. So being spiritual goal, what is that I'm going to do it? So that I take care that I am pious. I am not doing anything dishonest. I have to be ethical. I need to be my integrity is my first choice. And I have to have a goal to demonstrate, oh, I did so many things wrong, but I will take a goal now that this is something which I will not do, could be a goal. so that I stand tall, I gain respect with the people whom I work with. The fifth one is social and cultural, something for the community. I live in the community. Maybe a lot of time we feel, oh, what community has given me? I don't know. This guy doesn't behave well with me. This guy doesn't. But we learn so much from the community. We learn from friends. We learn from those people whom we actually do not know. But I see it every time, this neighbor walking out like this. I see he walks like this. I see he holds the bags like this. I see he has some sort of style with him, which I take it. I groom myself looking at him. There could be many direct or indirect influences. So it's very important for all of us, we like it or not like it, we need to take a social and cultural goal. Can I sponsor a child, a street child's education? That could be a social goal. But it's important to look at it. Can I go and donate? We all go to temples, we go to mosques, we go to churches. Can we donate some money there? And we say, oh, we will make this fixed that every year I will donate so much so that I will have peace of mind that I have helped people to do it. And if I have that, it will help me again to be a taller leader or more effective person, because I would know that I'm not only living for me, I'm living for God and I'm doing justice to it, which will build confidence, which will build me, give me a superpower to be what I want to be. The last, and it is very, very important for everything what you do, this is very, very important, financial and career. This again, what is the money I want to earn this year? What is the position I want this year? And the next year, and the next year. The moment I keep achieving one financial or a career goal, I need to keep adding more goals. And this sphere of life, at any time of my life, I started doing this when I was 29 years old. When I was in business, I was 29 years old. I went through Paul J. Mayer's training and I started doing it. And believe me, it has helped me a lot. From really starting as a frontline engineer to work through, move around different industry and to come to this position, it has helped me because I have been taking, whenever I finish something, I take a new goal in each sphere of life. And that is something which makes me feel very good. And I'm sure if you strive for it and if you guys do it, it will also give you a lot of confidence and will give you a lot of blessings of whomsoever you believe in, who's sitting on the top. Maybe God, maybe your parents, maybe anybody else. It would help you. So that is it. That is it from my side. And I would just encourage you to if you could learn something from here and take it somewhere from here, I would be very happy seeing any one of you getting benefited of for what I spoke or what Rahul spoke earlier. And remember that it's for you and you have to do it. Nobody else can do that. Yeah. Thank you so much. And if there are any questions or any other interaction, I would be happy to take.
Thank you very much, Sri Samir Tandon. You gave excellent talk and your presentation was so much impressive for us, for me particularly. And the last one that you have presented, the total person, really good, really very impressive, very nice of you. And you said so many things. It was so good. And I request Satyagopal to kindly, yeah, now the interactive session starts. Yeah, now Satyagopal to kindly join. Yeah, please.
Sir, we have received many number of the questions from the participants, but we called out and we are putting 3 important questions from the participants. The number one is, what is the impact of COVID-19 on agri-input industry, particularly on marketing, sir? This is the first question being asked by the participants. Second one is, coming to the Indian scenario, the agri-input industry is growing ahead. Definitely, there's a big boom, particularly for the agri-input industry, but not in the line with the agri-processing industry. So what are all the reasons and how we can make it? So that is the second question, sir. And the third one side, the scientific community, particularly the agriculture scientific community, is recommending for the organic farming, natural farming, and integrated pest management and other things. And the other side, the input industry is also going ahead. And how to substantiate this particular conflict, because really this is a conflicting situation. What is the opinion of the experts on this particular issue? First one, COVID-19, an impact on agri-input industry, particular marketing. The second one, the Indian scenario, agri-input industry is going ahead, but not as far as agri-processing industry is not going like that. Then third one, the scientists are recommending for the integrated farming and organic farming, natural farming, and other things. And on the other side, the input industries are going ahead. And how to substantiate this conflict? So the two experts can share their views on this particular issue, sir. Thank you, sir.
So Rahul, you want to take one or do you want me to take? Rahul?
Yeah, I somehow did not get the first one both the times. There's something that I got the other two, but somehow the first question I could not hear fully.
So the first question, Rahul, is about what has been the impact of COVID-19 on the agri industry and specifically agri-input industry.
Yeah, so I mean, the impact of COVID-19 on agri-input industry, I would say, I mean, we are talking about the Indian context, I think hasn't been, I would say, it hasn't impacted the industry as much as it has impacted the other businesses. I would not say that there is no impact, but it is much less compared to, you know, say the other industries like leisure or tourism or, you know, whatever. Obviously, those were expected to be hit badly, and they are hit badly because people are not going out. There has been some impact on agri-input industries across the globe, but I think in India, the impact has been minimal. In fact, if you look at the industry itself, the growth in the first quarter was quite good, actually. I mean, it was better than some of the other years. Now, that had to do primarily with a little bit of early rain and, you know, sowings getting preponed a bit. Also, a little bit of worry about the situation if the lockdown were to persist longer and whether products would be available. So there was some stocking by the trade. But overall, I mean, if you really look at it, whether it is agriculture per se, as you know, a little bit of vegetables and all that declined in the Kharif. But otherwise, the acreages for all the other crops were up, you know, barring corn. And there has been good offtake of inputs. So I would say I mean, from a number standpoint, there wasn't really much of an impact. But yes, people have borne the brunt. So the input industry itself has been hit. There have been incidences in all the companies and all the service providers, I think, where people have, when people did go out of their way to take, you know, personal risk and get into this, you know, when people realized that farmers were to be served. I think a lot of people in the industries also, you know, take personal pride in the fact that we are involved in a business that is helping put food on people's plate and that we are serving the farmers of this country. So when the farmers were undaunted, a lot of people ventured into the field, and some of them did succumb to the, I mean, did get the infection. So that kind of an impact the industry had, but business-wise, I think really minimal impact. I would ask Samir to add.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Rahul. So my take on that would be, you know, I personally feel agriculture so far, India or globally, has been the most, I wouldn't say 100%, but I would say most recession-free industry. The food would always be required. The populations are growing, and the agriculture produce for both for use as a food and also for other purposes will always be required. So usually the pandemics or epidemics of this sort do not adversely affect because you would keep doing it. The second reason is that the farmer, as a farmer, he doesn't have anything else to do. So he has to go and plant on his field, and he will plant on his field. So he would require seed, he would require input. he gets good remuneration of it or not, but he doesn't stop cultivating. And I think that's what we should be thanking our farmers in India for, specifically, that whatever happens, they're able to sell or not, but their resilience is very, very strong. They keep coming back and keep putting it on the ground again, keep looking at it, that, oh, they will earn. So I think that resilience would always put in. The third thing which I would say is that in terms of an agriculture industry per se, there was a little bit of disturbance because of on the logistic sides of getting input from China and different places to India and to service it. Which companies were trying to make logistic. We were in the essential sector, so we were allowed to operate our plants in time and things like that. So it had a very little impact in terms of availability of the materials. But I would say yes, the resilience of the farmer is very, very strong, and he keeps cultivating it. So in any type of circumstances, any types of pandemic, what my experience of last 29 years has been, that I have seen, the resilience of the farmer is so strong that rarely anything goes wrong. So any situation still keeps doing it, and in agriculture, and every time the farmers of the country have saved and added on to the economy of the country. The second question was around Dr. Satyagopal. The second question I forgot again.
Agri input industries are going ahead, but not on par with the agri processing industry.
Yeah, so we as a country, if you really ask me, we had a green revolution, which brought us to producing what we are producing today in that sense. So today we are actually producing surplus food. We are producing much more than what we can consume. But there has been some amount of, you can see, a protection given to agriculture for a long time. And that protection has, in a sense, made ourselves as a country, we have not allowed, if you really ask me, an exports at times when there is a shortage. So we are not a very reliable country globally for where the global different countries can trust us, that they can depend on India for their food supplies. I think now is the time coming in. I think the government is also putting a lot of effort in trying to get this. So the processing industry, the export houses are picking up. This is the first year, if you really ask me, China has bought Indian rice. So now things have started moving, and I think it will be not very long away where Indian food produce or agriculture produce will find international markets. Until the time you don't have to get to international market, processing industry or the process industry will not rise at the same level as what it could if you do not start exporting it for that. So I would believe that it should happen very soon, and I'm very, very optimistic guy. So I would feel that it would happen very, very soon. And I think this pandemic and the way the governments across the globe, I'm not only talking about Indian government, have handled it. There has been a lot of money, lot of liquidity in the agriculture sector, which has been created. And I think that would help going further in improving. And this processing industry as well will grow. I would say that it would double the growth in whatever CAGR we have grown in last 5 years. In the next 5 years, it will grow at double the rate.
Yeah. And I also feel that once, as you're rightly saying, I think once the linkage between the output industry, the food industry and the farmer becomes stronger, once it's clear that farmer is growing what the industry needs, once that more and more happens, then the processing industry will also fall in line, because, they won't have to, you won't set up an industry for which there is no demand. Once it starts from the demand side, it's beginning to happen. And as Samisa is saying, as the government also starts aiding this, we will see more and more of this, and the processing will also, I think it's already becoming stronger. The presence of the processing industry is improving, and it will happen very shortly.
Right. And the third question was, I thought you said about IPM and organic agriculture.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I have very, very strong view, and I first of all itself say if I create a controversy, please excuse me. I have, I have very, very strong views here. And so my view has been that organic agriculture was the agriculture which humankind started with. Everything was organic about 100 years back. But when it was organic, we were not able to produce food enough, and we had famines, and people were dying, and the food was not available. This year, in spite of pandemic, with so much of problems of logistics and supply chain, I don't think anybody in India, we saw long queues of labor moving onto the road, but we did not find anybody dying of hunger. I think that's the testimony to that our agriculture growth and our institutes of agriculture in India, which have helped develop this science to produce more food, have to be thanked that we have done indigenously. Nobody came from the world to give us. I think indigenously we developed, and we have come to time when with everybody across the globe was looking at India to give them food stuff in the time of pandemic. We have donated so much of food outside the India to do that. And I think that's the testimony of that organic is something which is more a fad. It is much smaller. So if you really ask me globally, I'm not talking about India, organic agriculture is less than 1% across the globe. It's more for people who could afford, because this is very expensive, and who could afford, and it is very elite who can talk about it and to do it. But I don't think that for mass there is a solution. Yes, Dr. Satyagopal, I believe that IPM is the best approach. And that is something, I'm not an agriculture scientist, so I'm only speaking about what I know and what I have learned from people like you when I interact and have spent my time running this industry. But IPM is the only approach which can take us as a country and as a community across globe to success, because you cannot produce food organically for everybody, but with an IPM you would be able to create a balanced approach, and that balance is what we need. So it's typically, I give always an example whenever I spoke. I was speaking in an investor conference few days back organized by CRISIL, and I was talking there as well, and somebody asked me this, and I told them that when you eat food in a thali, and I will again name my favorite food thali, which is Andhra food thali, you have different things. You have papu, you have dal, you have sambar, you have this. If you remove anything out of it, even if you remove pickle out of it, you cannot enjoy the same taste. A chutney out of it, you can't enjoy the same taste. It requires a balance. And I think this complete meal makes it people crave for and come for. Otherwise, you will get a dal and a chawal or a rice and a dal everywhere, but you will not get that feel of doing it. I think it's about a balance, and IPM gives that opportunity to balance. My company, at least I can tell you, is we are a big proponent of IPM. We have branded IPM actually, and we call it Pro Nutiva. We call it Pro Nutiva. We say the protection and nutrition along with natural plant protection products, and not only the chemicals. So if you balance with this, you would be able to do much better, and you would get a food. Of course, what is very important is safe food. So you have to be very sure of that you educate the farmers, extend this education to, so that at the time of harvest, you do not use, or before the harvest, till the time that you should not have a residues of pesticide left in the produce. So your whole management of an agriculture cycle should be in that way, that you do not do it. And I think that's something which is a responsibility, I think, on agriculture companies too. The institutions of agriculture are doing a great job in this across the country. I can talk to any university when I go to of agriculture. I think they have IPM packages. They have developed, done a lot of research, in experimenting it and putting it across. I think now the onus is on the agriculture companies to take it forward and keep doing it. Lot of times I feel that agriculture companies lose focus and they start talking only products.
Thank you, sir. Then another two important questions raised by the students, sir. Number one, one girl student asked a particular question, sir. Here, she asked about the point of gender. So most of the agri graduates from boys only, the companies are taking. And what is the fate of, because in the present scenario, more than 60% of the students in the campuses are girls. So in that context, what would be the, what are all the opportunities for the girl students, particularly in the agribusiness sector? This is one question raised by the girl students. Another one, another student raised another question. The present reforms in agricultural and agriculture, are they going to help the the agri graduates, particularly to go for startups? So that is another question, sir. So number one, that is the opportunities for girl agri graduates, particularly for the business sector. Second one, the reforms, the current reforms are going to help the agri graduate to go for going for startups. Please, sir.
Yeah, so I think it's very unfortunate that in 21st century we have to still talk about gender. It's very unfortunate. I think there should not be any difference between a male or a female or even a third gender to get an employment and to work with. I think there is no bias as far as my company UPL is concerned. Every year we have been taking it. Last year also, I am Ahmedabad, Irma, and few places when we took management trainees. So we were very clear. We took more than 50% girls into our company as management trainees, and they worked in. And I can also tell you is that we have a lot of girls working in sales. Working in sales, and sales in agriculture means that you are working in very small places. So your headquarters, if you have to talk about Telangana, it would be type of Karimnagar, Mehboob and it's not the Hyderabad. And similarly in Andhra Pradesh, it would be Guntur, it would be Nellore, it would be even Tirupati, but it would not be only Vijayawada. So and these girls have been doing excellent job. And my personal opinion is, I find, and I'm not trying to antagonize males here because I don't see a female in the picture at least. I do not want to antagonize any male here, but I personally feel females are much more sincere in the way they can do things, and they will do because they have lesser distraction. They don't have to go around smoking. They don't have to go around for booze parties. They will be very sincere working on it. So our company, actually, I can tell you, is we are very focused, and we feel, but unfortunate, the industry, as the way you are talking about, is dominated by. What was the next question, Dr. Satyam?
Next question is regarding the policies, sir. For agri startups, how they are going to help the agri graduates. Please, sir. Sir, how the current the reforms in agriculture are going to help the agri graduates to go for startups?
Yeah. So I think, any reforms, if you really look at it, history of reforms, when it started in early 90s, at the time I started my career in the early 90s, when the reforms start, they create new opportunities all the time. Anything, and reforms or no reforms as well, with the new generations coming in, the change and the gap in generation creates opportunities. And I think today also that opportunity is coming in. The disposable income in the hands of urban youth is increasing, and people are becoming cautious about what they eat. Those days are gone. I can tell you, when I was a child, and I came from a very well-to-do family. I did not come from a family where we had to struggle, but still at our home, we could have chapati and dal as the food, and we would not bother about anything else. Today we don't. Today we have to have a vegetable, we have to have a curd, we have to have something else, because we have started balancing. I'm a Punjabi, so I can tell you, in Punjabi, the food itself is called roti. So if you have not had roti, you would feel that you didn't get food today. But now today, like, there are many days I go without roti. I eat only vegetables and things like that, and I feel, oh, I have had enough of food. So the things are changing. The It's not about only reforms, but also about the way things have changed. There are a lot of opportunities. The businesses are changing. The typically different way of doing businesses is coming in. So opportunities are enough. And of course, with the new laws of agri reform which have come, which aid entry into that field which was earlier very protected. So that protection goes away. I think there is a lot of opportunity for people to come in. Still today, if I have to tell you, even in agri input industry, our estimate is, if you look at only India, I'm talking only India, our estimate is 47% of the rice grown in India is still not treated with any chemical. It's only 53% of the rice acreage is treated. If I take total arable land in India and the crops which we are growing on that, it is not more than 25% of the arable land is treated by a chemical or even by a natural plant protection or any type of protection product. So opportunity is immense. And what is happening now is the focus with this laws has also come in the place, because now you do not want to only produce more, you want to produce better quality, because better quality will fetch you markets and not the best only quantities. So I think that's happening. And I can tell you, because I have supported many of the startups. I have been on some board of some of the startups where we as a company have invested. So I can also tell you from there's a lot of interesting things happening. A lot of these startups will come, and I'm very sure in agriculture space also very soon we will start seeing, Facebooks and WhatsApps of agriculture, which would happen, and not doing exactly the same thing, but yeah, of course, the names and what we call it unicorns coming up in agriculture. So there's a lot of scope. There are very, very big companies. I know a startup which started by agri graduates some 3 years back. They're already about 150 crore to 200 crore turnover this year. So there are many, many opportunities. I think it's more about, I would say, will of people to do it. Who wants to get into startup needs to think about that he has to create value. He cannot be me too. He cannot be that, oh, I will also do something what was happening. He has to figure out what is his niche, what is more he is bringing on, why somebody should come to him is very important.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you for giving a wonderful answers for the students' questions. And for the past 3 hours, we had a very good time and very interactive and thought-provoking session. And both Rahul Pandey sir as well as Samir sir has given very good input for the students, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request our Associate Dean, sir, to continue, sir. Please.
Thank you, Patigopal, and I thank both the speakers, Rahul Panditji and Samir Tandonji. They both gave a very good talk on the topics, very informative for our students and the faculty. And I take this opportunity inviting both of them to our campus. Now the classes are coming. The classes are going on in the campus. Students are there in the campus, particularly the postgraduate students are there. And I take this opportunity inviting both of you, sir, both of you, Rahul Pandeyji and Samit Tandon, to visit our campus sometime when you find time. While thanking you, both of you, for your excellent talk that you have given, now I take the opportunity inviting Sri N.T. Krishna Kishore to give vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, I would like to thank the speakers, Mr. Samir Tandanji, Regional Director, India UPL Limited, and Rahul Pandeyji, Head of Strategic Marketing, UPL Limited, for taking their valuable time from their busy schedule and giving a detailed insight on prospects of agribusiness management and enlightening the agriculture graduates on the opportunities in agribusiness from their experiences and learnings. And I heartily thank our beloved Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Dr. A. Vishnuvardhan Reddy Garu, for his inspiration and encouragement given to Team IABM to organize the webinar. And I sincerely thank Dr. A. Pratap Kumar Reddy Garu, Dean of Agriculture, for his immense support in organizing this webinar. And I wholeheartedly thank Dr. D. Balaguruvaya Garu, Dean of PG Studies, for always being a pillar behind each and every event organized by IABM Tirupati. My immense thanks to Dr. B. Ravindranath Reddy Garu, Associate Dean, SV Agriculture College, Tirupati, for his constant support and guidance throughout the event. And I also thank my sincere thanks to our head, Dr. P.V. Satyagopal Garu, Professor and Head of IABM, for his initiation and enthusiasm in organizing such a wonderful event. And I thank Mr. M.V. Ratnam Garu, Senior Manager, UPL Limited, for his support in establishing a collaboration between UPL and IABM in organizing this event. And I also thank all the teaching and non-teaching staff, students of both IABM and SV Agriculture College, who have supported in making this event a grand success. And especially thank Mr. Uday Bhaskar, Research Fellow, for his technical support throughout the event and the session. And finally, I would like to thank each and every participant who have shown an overwhelming response in participating in the event, and we expect the same support in future. Thank you all once again. So we'd like to conclude this session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.